Now this is the account of the prior times, and of the weapons of terror. Before the prior times was the beginning. After the prior times were the olden times. In the olden times, the gods came to the earth and created the earthlings. In the prior times, none of the gods was on the earth, nor were the earthlings yet fashioned. In the prior times, the abode of the gods was on their own planet. Nibiru is its name. A great planet, reddish in radiance, around the sun an elongated circuit Nibiru makes. For a time in the cold is Nibiru engulfed, for part of its circuit by the sun strongly is it heated. A thick atmosphere Nibiru envelops, by volcanic eruptions constantly fed. All manner of life this atmosphere sustains. Without it there will be only perishing. In the cold period, the inner heat of Nibiru it keeps about the planet, like a warm coat that is constantly renewed. In the hot period, it shields Nibiru from the sun's scorching rays. In its midst, rains it holds and releases, to lakes and streams giving rise. Lush vegetation our atmosphere feeds and protects. All manner of life in the waters and on the land to sprout it caused. After aeons of time our own species sprouted, by our own essence an eternal seed to procreate. As our numbers grew, to many regions of Nibiru our ancestors spread. Some tilled the land, some four-legged creatures shepherded. Some lived on the mountains, some in the valleys their home made. Rivalries occurred, encroachments happened, clashes occurred, sticks became weapons. Clans gathered into tribes, then two great nations each other faced. The nation of the north against the nation of the south took up arms. What was held by hand to thrusting missiles was turned. Weapons of thunder and brilliance increased the terror. A war, long and fierce, engulfed the planet, brother amassed against brother. There was death and destruction both north and south. For many circuits, desolation reigned the land. All life was diminished. Then a truce was declared, then peacemaking was conducted. Let the nations be united, the emissary said to one another. Let there be one throne on Nibiru, one king to reign over all. Let a leader from north or from south by lot be chosen, one king supreme to be. If he be from north, let south choose a female to be his spouse, as an equal queen to reign alongside. If by lot a south male be chosen, let the north female be his spouse. Husband and wife let them be, as one flesh to become. Let their firstborn son be the successor. Let a unified dynasty thus be formed, unity on Nibiru forever to establish. In the midst of the ruins, peace was started. North and south by marriage were united. The royal throne into one flesh combined, an unbroken line of kingship established. The first king, after peace was made, a warrior of the north he was, a mighty commander. By lots, true and fair, was he chosen. His decrees and unity were accepted. For his abode he built a splendid city. A god, unity meaning, was its name. For his reign, a royal title he was granted. On it was, the celestial one, was its meaning. With strong arm, order in the lands he re-established. Laws and regulations he decreed. Governors for each land he appointed. Restoration and reclamation was their foremost task. Of him in the royal annals, thus it was recorded. On, the lands unified. Peace on Nibiru he restored. He built a new city, the canals he repaired, food to the people he provided. There was abundance in the lands. For his spouse, the south, a maiden had chosen. For both love and warring she was noted. Onto was her royal title. The leader who is On spouse the given name cleverly did mean. She bore On 3 sons and no daughters. The firstborn son was by her named Enki. By On a solid foundation was its meaning. Alone on the throne he was seated. A spouse to choose was twice postponed. In his reign, concubines were brought into the palace. A son to him was not born. The dynasty thus begun was by the death of Enki disrupted. On the foundation no offspring followed. The middle son, though not the firstborn, the legal heir was pronounced. From his youth, one of 3 brothers, Ib by his mother was lovingly called. The one in the middle his name did mean. By the royal annals, On Ib he is named. In kingship celestial, by generations, the one who is On's son the name signified. He followed his father on Nibiru's throne. By count he was the 3rd to reign. The daughter of his younger brother he chose to be his spouse. Nin-Ib she was called, the Lady of Ib. A son to On-Ib by Nin-Ib was born. The successor on the throne he was, the fourth by the count of kings. By the royal name On-Shargal he wished himself to be known. On's prince, who was greatest of princes, was the meaning. His spouse, a half-sister, Ki-Shargal, was equally named. Knowledge and understanding were his chief ambition. The ways of the heavens he assiduously studied. The great circuit of Nibiru he studied, its length a shar to be he fixed. As 1 year on Nibiru was the measure, by it the royal reigns to be numbered and recorded. The shar to 10 portions he divided, 2 festivals thereby he pronounced. When nearest to the sun's quarters, a festival of the warmth was celebrated. When to its far abode Nibiru was distanced, the festival of coolness was decreed. Replacing all olden festivals of tribes and nations, to unify the people, the two were established. Laws of husband and wife, of sons and daughters, by decree he established. Customs from the first tribes he proclaimed for the whole land. From the wars, females greatly outnumbered males. Decrees he made, 1 male to have more than 1 female for knowing. By law, 1 wife as official spouse to be chosen, first wife to be called. By law, the firstborn son was his father's successor. By these laws, confusion soon came about. If the firstborn son not by the first wife was born, and thereafter by the first wife a son was born, by law the legal heir becoming, who shall be the successor? The one by the count of Shar's firstborn? The one by the first wife born? The firstborn son? The legal heir? Who shall inherit? Who shall succeed? In the reign of Anshargal, Ki-Shargal as first wife was pronounced. A half-sister of the king she was. In Anshargal's reign, concubines were again brought into the palace. By the concubines, sons and daughters to the king were born. A son by one was the first to be born. The son of a concubine was the firstborn. Thereafter, Ki-Shargal bore a son. The legal heir by law he was. The firstborn he was not. In the palace, Ki-Shargal raised her voice, in anger shouting, If by rules my son, by a first wife born, from succession shall be barred, let the double seed not be neglected. Though of different mothers, of one father, the king and I are offspring. I am the king's half-sister, of me the king is half-brother. By that my son the double seed of our father On-Ib possesses. Let henceforth the law of the seed, the law of espousal, overpower. Let henceforth a son by a half-sister, whenever born, above all other sons, rise to succession. Anshargal, contemplating, the law of the seed embraced with favor. Confusion of spouse and concubines, of marriage and divorce by it would be avoided. In their council, the royal councillors, the law of the seed for succession adopted. By the king's order, the scribes the decree recorded. Thus, the next king by the law of the seed for succession was proclaimed. To him, the royal name Anshar was granted. 5th on the throne he was.